Lucifer wrapped its business on September 10th with the release of the final season on Netflix. It was a long, winding DC comic series that premiered in January 2016 and lasted for 6 seasons. The series, produced by Warner Brothers, had its share of ups and downs, wherein they survived cancellation on 2 occasions. It was originally telecast on Fox Television for the first 3 seasons, after which point, due to constant decline in ratings, the Fox decided to put an X on it. However, the viewership was unaffected. While its fate lingered on, Netflix expressed their desire to take things forward and picked up the series from where it was left off for the season 4 and 5. Interestingly, season 5 was made into 2 parts. The second part was dubbed as the conclusion of the story. However, further deliberations on the fate of the show fueled speculation for another season, as part 2 of season 5 didn't appear to be well thought through culmination to how the show was supposed to end things. Consequently, Netflix decided to give it another life for the final time. Time to share a little history before unboxing the series and share my opinion. Lucifer is an American fantasy character created by Neil Gaiman, Sam Keith, and Mike Dringenberg from the DC comic book series The Sandman, which was published between 1989 and 96, and had Lucifer appearing as a supporting character, emerging for the first time in Volume 4 issue. A spin-off was planned and put into effect in 1999 when the trio decided to launch an independent issue featuring the devil being cast as the main lead. The eponymous character goes under the full name of Lucifer Samael Morningstar, who ruled hell for 10 billion years after he was cast into hell for rebelling against his father, the god, briefly post the creation of the universe. Filled with fury for his father for being unfair to him, he decided to reluctantly take the reins of hell in his hand while completely manipulating the large army of demons of hell into turning against each other. Remember, folks, this is just fiction. In real life, I don't think anybody would be scripting a rebellion against God only to wind up in the inferno of hell and later calling it an unethical act on God's part. While the apparent subtext of what underwent between the father and the son as a clear trajectory of their character does not seem to build on that aspect, but we could apply a faint clue ascribing the punishment to be a well-built rationale on part of God. At one point, his rage grew so profound that his heightened hellish instincts formed an army of demons to put up a united front against heaven, which is to say, culminated from his growing need to manipulate the citizens of hell. It all continued for 10 billion years until one fine dark hell day, catch the irony here, he decided to head for the mortal earth. By all accounts, serving for that long, he must have grown bored, and to cut some slack, he decided to live with the earthlings. Well, did he consider an exchange program with the people on earth for a different experience? Of course, what am I thinking? A lot of us die every day. A program is already being facilitated for the earthlings to scoop us out of our drudgery to face the wrath of God. We don't need any favors from the devil per se. Okay, I don't think this was a good one, but moving on. The show primarily focuses on the vulnerabilities of Lucifer's character after he decides to forsake his duties as a ruler of hell to live amongst the mortals in Los Angeles. In his new incarnation, he is introduced to be working with LAPD as consulting detective. Together with Chloe Decker, the actual detective with the department, they solve crimes while passionately growing close to each other until the day of revelation, when she discovers that she was spending time in the company of the ruler of hell. Lucifer can be seen walking through heaven, earth, hell, and other realms to provide a glimpse into his reach as an angel. But when he's living on earth, he runs his high-end nightclub called Lux. Later, it becomes a meeting hub to resolve conflicts, introducing new characters, passionate nights, music soiree, a set place to shoot climax, and other such semantics. The supporting characters play a pivotal role in Lucifer's journey. Amenadiel, for example, who plays brother to Lucifer, initially wanted him to come back to heaven, but eventually develops a keen relationship with earthly characters, including having a baby with one of them, who it turns out was a half-angel. The therapist Dr. Linda Martin becomes an integral part of the show for guiding Lucifer through intense consternation surrounding several subjects during his stay on Earth, together with the matters of supernatural events. The demon Mazakin, who plays the confidant and devoted ally of Lucifer, also accompanies him to Earth and forms an intractable bond with other characters of the show. Speaking of other characters, mostly at LAPD, who are initially unaware of supernatural presence in their midst, manage to weave their way into the trusted circles of Lucifer to learn about his supernatural upbringing. and a frightening alter ego, that of a devil. The initial impression had a multifarious effect on people. Some saw it as a tryst with heaven, and some construed it as an upsetting awakening to hurl them into lunacy, which for some characters largely remained with them for the length of their life. Lucifer has been played by my favorite British prodigy Tom Ellis, who spares no singular moment to infuse his suaveness and sobriety into the character that it is difficult to visualize anyone else playing the lead. Him being the only British actor in the show, he sets a proverbial distinction in the overall energy tone through various phases of emotions, besides accent, allowing others to wallow under his tutelage. If he's sad, he will make sure each tiny frame resonates with his sadness. The audience, therefore, is immediately admitted into the quivers of his melancholic state. The same applies to other forms of emotions that he aptly projects on screen. The series also focuses on introducing several recurring cast members who have their parts to play until approaching a certain expiration of their engagement. While we're on the subject of heightened supernatural elements employed in the show, we can't resist talking about the components of spirituality and faith. The tools have been repeatedly and often used in the context of God, but the usage strictly serves as a stickler for the progress of the story. So there is no bigger picture involved. The faith is sometimes shaken by the prevailing circumstances, but the story articulates several measures to provide a corrective course to renew it. But there is no conscious effort to guide our attention towards the topic, except for an instance here and there. Each season captivates its audience with tiny anecdotes and stories on the periphery, at the same time juggling its characters through an underlying main story that always find a suitable end at each point, only to set off another battle that each must consciously adhere to. There are no epic moments, as the script and the screenplay posits an essential ingredient to de-emphasize every single frame. There are intense cliffhangers at the end of episodes and seasons that leave us wanting for more, especially the conclusion of season 5 had me wondering what would happen next because it didn't feel like a proper end. Of course, at that point, I was unaware of the sudden development taking place to introduce a more competent series finale. I highly recommend this series for its performances, suspense build-up, introducing new storyline and characters, and of course, the music has a distinct flavor that embellishes the experience. I would rate the show 4 and 5. Thank you very much.